Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and I'm a quick crafter today. I just feel like making a quick one-layer card. So here is the little sample I made. Then I thought, you know what? I could just make that on a blank card base and call it a day. So the first thing I'm going to do is a little stamping, and I'm going to take, first I'm going to stamp this flower from Rubbernecker. And it was funny, I went to, I guess it's really not that funny, but you can listen to me tell a story while I'm coloring at least. I went to the stamp show, the heirloom stamp show back in June, and it was the second time I'd been to the show, and the first time I went to the show, I went by the Rubbernecker booth and didn't really do anything for me. And but the next time I went this year, and I loved everything, and I was getting out a stamp set that I used the other day, this poppy set, and this stamp was right next to it, and I thought, you know, I haven't even used that yet, and I think I really need to. So sometimes that happens. You kind of forget that you got something if you haven't used it yet, and then you finally drag it out and you realize it's just what you wanted to work with. And this is a more solid image stamp. This is what the stamp looks like. So it's more solid image, so that also makes it quicker. I'm using watercolor markers just to color directly on the rubber. You could use watercolor crayons, you could use watercolor paint, you could use whatever you like. If you color over another color, just scribble it off on a scrap paper to clean it. And so yeah, I didn't see anything I liked the first time I went to the show, but then this year everything appealed to me, it seemed like. And I'm just going to put the stem in here with some brown. I like using these solid image stamps because you don't have to spend a lot of time coloring. You can do some really simple cards, and they just look stunning because all the hard work is done. So I'm going to stamp this, and I'm stamping it right side up for me because I don't want to mess it up. I'm going to breathe on this to make sure the ink is nice and moist. Luckily I'm full of hot air. And I'm just going to stamp this down on my card base. Now I'm going to give this a couple seconds from the ink to go from the stamp onto the paper. It's a great tip. Whenever you're stamping, make sure you give your stamp time with the ink transfer. Oh, love it! Alright, so now I am going to stamp this canning jar. I also got this set at Rubbernecker. I feel like I'm doing a Rubbernecker ad. They don't even know I'm making this video. And so I love canning jars. I have made some with my stamp maker. I've purchased some. I just can't get enough of the canning jar motif because there's so much you can do with it. You can stamp stuff in your canning jars. You can, you know, use it for gift tags. They're just so fun and cute. Now, since I am going over some of the lines that I did with the gray, I will scribble my marker off on the scrap paper. Breathe on the stamp. And try to stamp this down pretty straight because I'm stamping it right on the blank card base. By the way, this is Georgia Pacific Cheapo cardstock. It's 2 cents a sheet, so this card is really costing me 1 penny to make. You know, I don't count the cost of my stamps and my markers, of course, but not too bad, 1 penny. All right, so I'm going to turn that around for you. So there we go. We got a lovely little scene. Now I'm going to do a little more coloring because I feel like the jar should have some water in it. So what I do, so I don't have to get out anything else, I can take this stamp block and just scribble out some color. I'm scribbling out some of this blue here. And let's see, I don't know, I think this is about the same. Nope, this is a little bit darker. I'll scribble out some of that. And also some of my gray. And I'm going to use this to paint with because if I just go and start coloring with a marker and I make a mistake, I'm not going to be able to pull it around and get a nice natural look. But if I go in there, because this is cardstock, it's not watercolor paper, I can't really manipulate my color as well using, oh, before I do that, I can't manipulate my color on cardstock is a thought that I meant to finish. Before I do that though, I want to make this branch a little bit longer because otherwise my water line, I'm going to have it too low and it's just going to look cruel, like I didn't even bring the water low enough for the plant. And you'll notice that, see, I can paint right over that marker that I've drawn on my cardstock, and it's not really going to move around too much. So that's why I wanted to scribble off my color onto this block so I'd have a little bit more control there. So I'd be able to really get a light look. And now I got to pick a direction for the light to be coming. I think I'm going to have the light come in from this direction. So it's going to go through the water and actually give me a little bit of a shadow on the table. And since my vase is kind of blue, it's actually going to put some blue in there. And I will throw a little bit of gray right down near the bottom just to darken it up and give it a little bit of a shadow. All right, not too shabby. Now, what I'm going to do is actually, now I tried to pick up color and flick and it didn't really work that well, but I found a trick that does work really well. Let me bring out my scrap piece of paper here and let me zoom out a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go, so you can see. What I'm going to do is flick color onto my paper, and actually what I want is I wanted to have some purple colors and some pink in there, but I couldn't really flick any really good colors. So what I found is if I took my color duster and I dust over the color, I'm going to use a Distress ink pads here for this, then it will pick the color up from the background, and it will, on the splotches a little bit darker, and it will give me the look that I was looking for. I'm going to use pink up here to the top. Since this is just a one-layer card, I don't want it to be too boring and predictable, so that's why I put the water drops in there. And see where I have my droplets is picking up a little bit more color, so I've got a little bit of a brush strokey background with some splotches in it, and I like that. If you don't care for that, then don't do it, because it's your picture. You don't have to do stuff you don't want to. It's your art. I'm getting some streaks where the drops were really wet. And I'm getting some drops where they've just dried and kind of dampened the paper. And there you have it, a quick one-layer card that you can make in a jiffy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put a link below to Rubbernecker so you can find those stamps if you want to. And as always, happy crafting!